tax, using their own resources, and not begging and hoping others going to give them something, that the world will not change, it'll get worse. This is what I call the new salvation plan that the people will hear, and they'll be able to share these results and change their status and get more respect throughout the world than they deserve. I'm talking about black.
Now, Dr. You and I, years ago when we first started working together, you broke down integration and the issue with respect to integration and how it had negatively impacted the black community. Share with our listeners why you know that was years ago, but I'm seeing it walk out now to be a fact.
You say you want me to share what part now like this?
Why integration was not good for the black community.
Oh no, that's the fact, sir. That's the fact. And most people believe just the opposite. Integration had to be the second worst factor that happened to black people in the history of America. And the first one was slavery. Number two is integration. Black folks lost more power, more economic power, more self-respect, more everything, culture, folklore, you name it, they lost it due to integration that didn't start taking place in America until the mid-1960s through the 1990s. The worst thing ever happened to black people in the world. It didn't work in America. It doesn't work in Africa. It doesn't work in the Caribbean and no other place, not even the North and the South Pole. Integration is not good for any human being. You have to be self-centered, self-loving, and then have the ability to work with others on the outside and show respect at all times.
How important is it that somebody, and we might not be the right people to do it, but Dr. Henderson, how important is it that somebody bring an economic engine to South and West Jackson?
What is going to have to happen, sure? He's going to have to have it. Someone's going to have to do it. The plans are already available. They've always been available. Even during slavery, free blacks knew how to survive, and they have done it. And there have always been free blacks in America and throughout this area. We're talking about United States, Mexico, all the Caribbean area, always been free. And there is nobody in this country that need to create a new plan. We just need to know how to pool our resources, build coalitions with others, and at the same time use the leaders that you have right across the street from you, your neighbors, your friends, that are qualified and not brainwashed and want to practice what I call Uncle. There is no problem that can't be resolved.
Dr. Henderson, this is Shire from the Baby in House Talk Show. How you doing this evening?
Yes. I'm doing fine.
Great. It's good to see that you're actually going to be your show and stuff is going to be coming. And also, I just wanted to. Can you expand on that Uncle Tomism?
Well, Uncle Tomism is something that I've been reading and studying for years. If you want to create a new man that is totally worthless, you get his what I call hater that despise him or her as a human being and teach him or her to hate himself and be like you, the despiser of him. I'm talking about this other person that despises another human being that he has created as a non-man in his image, and then teach him to be the same and say, you are totally insignificant. I am significant and superior to you. And if you think you are anything other than what I tell you, and not like me, you are insignificant. And those doggone Uncle Tom Negroes and others in other groups that believe that they are inferior versus being superior, or just a little better than the person that's saying they're inferior, can be led to destruction. And the whole family, their whole culture will change, and they will be totally worthless until the day they die. And that's a historical fact, totally worthless.
And how do one actually deal with this opportunism? I mean, you have the men and women nowadays that is, I mean, if they actually put it in your face, how do one can actually deal with that?
Well, you have to do like Jesus did. He knew that people were going to be difficult, and his idea was to give you the right word and tell you to stay away to turn from sinners and evildoers and low down, disgraceful people that's going to lead you astray. He said, follow the golden rule. And if you don't follow that, you're not going to be able to survive and have independence as a human being. That's the way you have to resolve that.
Dr. Henderson, let's shift just a minute, if you will.
Yes, sir.
Most of us have had an opportunity to see it yesterday. And today they call it breaking news. They still talking about breaking news, but I don't know how long it can be breaking news.
But you're talking about that incident with Trump?
Right. But I'm gonna get your opinion on it first, and then I want to share my thoughts on it. And then go ahead. Yes, sir. That's exactly what I'm talking
about. Okay. Well, the thing is, it is something that many people have always thought would happen sooner or later. There's nothing new in the history of America and the world where candidates is running for office at the local, state, national, international level are not compromised in many ways, sometimes for assassination, attempted assassination. There's nothing new, and it's not going to be something that's going to not happen throughout the history of the world, and especially in America. So we just have to learn to adjust with it, learn to not have it to happen as often as it has, and preach more moderation throughout the world, among the people of the world, and you will have more peace, harmony, and justice among the people. But when you are totally hostile, when you are practicing, but we just got through talking about superiority ideas and denouncing others, bad things can happen, even to the good. I always expect bad things when human beings are fighting and degrading each other and saying, I'm better than you. That is no new news. It's old news, and it's going to be continuing news throughout the history of mankind. When you hate and despise each other as human beings, male and females, you can expect hard times, disharmony, death, and all kinds of disastrous incidents to take place in your life and in your city, your town, and your country.
It's hard to get good help doing anything now. I don't care what it is, the government included. All jobs are struggling. Ms. Jackson worked for a large company. They struggle for good quality employees. And you're a trained military man. You was trained to use a weapon. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. In your opinion, you know, from your professional military background, do you believe that the security was lax? Do you believe that the Secret Service was lax?
Was lacking in what way, sir? And I think I know where you're headed, but lacking in what way?
Okay, Dr. Henderson, 140 yards. Football field is 100 yards. Half of a football field is 50 yards. You mean to tell me, and then as recently as today, people are on the television saying that they was trying to tell the police, you got a man on the roof with a rifle. Come on, Doc. Come on, Doc.
I know exactly where you're headed. Of course, there's a lack of intelligence there. There's a lack of planning in that situation. And there's another sense that there's nothing going to happen to me because I am the one that is strong, powerful, the know-all person, and I have everything under control. But my military experience shows for years that if you want to get yourself messed up, you don't pay respect to your enemy. even those that you don't believe there. You have to protect your leaders. You have to have airplanes, helicopters, spies, monitoring automatic devices, robots, sensory machines, and other people that are constantly spying in the area that you are presenting your presentation, especially when it's an open or in a closed building, for at least a mile away. And if you're close to water, you have to have some submarines and divers in the water, but at all times, you should have those robots, airplanes, and helicopters flying around at least for a distance of 5 miles all around that area. And then when someone tells you something, you have to have a system of communication that's going to expedite the news to top security that will take action immediately. I learned in my experience that if there's a perceived enemy, you have to take care of that instance and explain it later. That's what I was told. And it works too.
All right, well, let me say this, and we're going to let them do what they do. So you got enough folks working on that issue now. Well, we got some issues.
I guarantee you.
Right, we got some issues on the local level. But Dr. Henderson, I was sitting there, and when I saw it, and I saw the blood, but then my concern, Ms. Jackson and listeners, now keep in mind, I have not been trained in the military, but I've been watching the Secret Service, and I watch enough police movies. Dr. Henderson, if you're protecting him, and I'm gonna let it go, if you're protecting the president, he's been shot, you pushed him to the ground, you got him safe. Would you stand him back up, Dr. Henderson, and allow? Hold on, Doc. Hold on, Doc. Would you stand him back up and then allow him to stand up and raise his fist up and pump his fist and become an open target for possibly a second sniper? Now, Dr. Henderson, absolutely no military training, no Secret Service training. But is it just me? Was that something that you would be concerned about?
I would be very concerned about it. And the people that had the opportunity to protect the candidate at the time probably had nothing to do with it. And they had to adjust to the impulse of the victim to get up and be recognized as a superior man that can take hostility, and that I'm not dead, so I'm still your man, and I need your supporting vote. And you're going to find that's exactly what happened. I wouldn't say the Secret Service allowed him to get up. I'm quite sure he forced him way up, and they were doing their best to probably hold him down. That's what they were trained. And he just had a chance to get a little more publicity than they expected. And they did the best they could. They eventually got him under control.
Okay.
But sometimes when you're the president, you give certain demands, and people do it whether they like it or not.
All right, well, I'm going to leave it alone.
I just have to say something.
I'm going to let them work. Ms. Jackson, you'll come in.
You know, come on now. The whole thing, in my opinion, just watching it, shout out to Trump and him wanting to get recognized he's still alive. But it was more so like stage. It was nothing like John F. Kennedy when he was actually a person of respect. It was actually gone down. It wasn't like it was Martin Luther King, different people that's out and have rights and doing things for the people. It was just more like it was staged.
Well, it could be like it was staged, but at the end of the day, it's no doubt, Ms. Jackson, that this young man is no longer with us, right?
Yes.
So now you can't contribute that to being staged. He took somebody else's life in the process. So now, when you said stage, I'm not sure what
I mean about stage is like just the whole way that Trump acted.
No, but listen to what I'm saying. Now everybody got their opinion, and we certainly gonna be rallying on that. Not me for long, because I'm gonna go back to these local issues we got.
Yes.
Trump is gonna be Trump, and Trump is fine. All right, but Ms. Jackson, you yourself being in the military, you must admit now, for a bullet to get your ear. Now, his head was turned. had his head been straight in front of that podium, Miss Jackson, we'd be having a different conversation. Now, what I'm saying is, and I'm gonna say this, and again, with what I'm saying is, and you're a woman of faith, and I hadn't heard not one person shout, Dr. Henderson, not one out of 24 hours of talking. I have not heard one person say that the whole world saw a miracle.
So good.
Well, hold on now.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Well, with Dr. Henderson, had he been looking straight forward, the same bullet that cut his ear more than likely would have took his head off.
Well, the Lord is on his side.
Well, hold on there. Hold. That's right where I want to be. Now, if we are a Christian, hold on, if we're a Christian nation, Dr. Henderson, and most of us is going to admit that this young man fired off 18 rounds, Miss Jackson. Mm-hmm. One of the cameras, y'all listen to this. One of the cameras, Dr. Henderson, got one of the bullets in the photograph. Did you understand me?
Wow.
They actually got a picture where this bullet is in a photograph. This man fired off 18 rounds at this president, a former president. One of them hit the man's ear. I have yet to hear any of the commentators. I have yet to hear any of the bishops. I have yet to hear any of the apostles say that it's a miracle that this man is not dead. Now, in my opinion, I don't know who his chaplain is. You might want to apply for the job.
No, I don't think so.
Well,
I'm not a Trump supporter.
But I didn't ask you about support. I'm asking you about working on the battlefield for the Lord.
But not with the clue.
But my point is,
yes,
you must admit, and hopefully Donald will take this in. Now let me show you something there. Dr. Henderson, did you hear that President Biden called him yesterday?
Yes, I heard about that.
Oh, okay. All right.
He made comments.
Okay.
In the positive, that it was a bad thing. I'm just paraphrasing, and that he does not approve of such, and it shouldn't be happening to anyone in America or the world generally.
All right, now let me ask you this. Is it possible, Dr. Henderson, that after this event, that the two of them might have a conversation about they need to dial back this rhetoric and this foolishness that have led to this environment? Is that a possibility or not?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
The possibility is this, that they can talk about it. That I don't think is going to happen.
Okay.
See, when you have the idea that you are the best, that you're going to change things, you're going to make America great again, that's all you live for. That's what you go to sleep on. And you're not going to change your dialogue just because of an incident that will give you at least 5 or 6% more votes than otherwise, in my opinion, according to what I know about human nature.
All right. Well, we're going to let them deal with that up there, and we're going to come back down here on the ground and deal with these local levels, these low-level conversations down here that we have in our community. All right. If you will, as you exit, give us your telephone number. We got another gentleman coming up. We're going to talk about solar and some conferences that's coming to Mississippi. Dr. Henderson, and certainly I would like to say welcome back. It is an absolute blessing to have you back on WNPR 90.1. A lot of our programming will be returning. If nothing happened the first of the month, Dr. Gordon will be back on Thursday morning. On Thursday, also Thursday morning, we have our first responders. The fire department was in this past Friday morning, so they will be returning. Miss Jackson is back in the studio, locked and loaded. So people tune in. We're going to be trying to bring you some information that impact your life, not gossip. We're going to try to limit the gossip. We got enough platforms out there carrying the gossip. We want you to hear something that you can apply to your life, move your community forward. Did I say it was going to be easy? No. Do you need to be trying to get it done? Yes. And it's really about the future of our young people. Dr. Henderson and I, we agree all the time. We've had a wonderful life. We're not trying to get out early. But if we leave, I think both of us, we are all right with where we're going and what we're going to be doing. Doctor, again, contact information, how people can reach you, and when you will be on the air, the name of your show.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jones. Well, listeners and viewers on Facebook and others, the L. Henderson Real News Show, organized, don't criticize, will be on every Thursday on WMPR 94.1 FM from 5 to 6 p.m. And if you want to contact us or be a sponsor, you can call us at 601-201-1857 or email us at clu369@gmail.com. Call us, email us, and we'd like to hear from you.
All right. Thank you, Doc. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
You are listening to WNPR 90.1. To all the listeners, thank you for listening in with us. It's your girl, Shy Jackson. Thank you, Dr. Henderson, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep for you. WNPR 90.1, Sunday afternoon. Give us a call, 601-948-5950, and let us know, what are your thoughts? What are you doing, and what do you think about?
I'm Miss Jackson. I've been doing so long, I forgot how to work stuff around here. So look, talk to us about employment, because that's one of the things we'll be doing as we come back. Shay, you've been able to help us put people to work. Employment is something that is absolutely needed, access to employment. But you have been such a blessing with people that needed a job. You've been able to help get interviews for people. And that's something I want to say I'm grateful for. I appreciate that relationship. But as we move forward, one of the things we'll be doing on a regular basis is we'll be putting out information about people that's really, really in need of employees. But one of the things that I want to talk about is people getting ready to go to work, job interviews, soft skills. I met a young lady a few weeks ago, and we have her on, and she talked about that she wanted to do nothing shy but train people on how to work in the workspace, how to talk to people, customers especially. Talk about how important that is and why it's necessary. Number one, you dress appropriate, and then not just for the interview. When you go into work, you get the job, you need to get up in the morning, get prepared, dress for success. Soft skills, your language. Yeah. And one of the things that I know, we're going to come back and just do a whole show on it because it's an addiction. The Surgeon General done put out a warning. These cell phones with our youth. But a lot of older people got the same problem. Talk about those things.
I want to start with, you actually going into a job, make sure that you do not smell like you've been smoking.
All right, hold on a second. Call you on air?
Yes, this is Lee.
Right. Oh, hang on, Lee. We'll be with you just a second. Go ahead, Sha.
Once you're actually going looking for a job, make sure you, not only are you dressed professional, but make sure your hygiene is in check. Make sure that you don't smell like you've been smoking green grass so early in the morning. A lot of the youth, from what I've seen when people come in for interviews, is that their apparel, what they have on, what they're wearing, And also it actually starts with the person. Research the job that you're going for. Make sure it's a good fit for you. For those that have kids, make sure that you kind of inquire about the scheduling before actually coming. Make sure you can pass a drug test. There was a lot of things that nowadays when people actually come in, Sherri, that once they want a job, they just, especially if you're younger, the 25 and younger crew, you come looking for a job, but mentally do some kind of preparation and research to make sure that your qualifications fit the job. A lot of people, they want to make the money, but their mind is not there for the job. You see them there in the hallway with their cell phones, breaking the rules, or they don't want to, first of all, your hair color. They want to get all these piercing on, and they showing the tattoos. So you got to get research to know the rules of the job.
So, I mean, where do we start with that conversation? Keep in mind, right now we're in a deficit. You got an immigration issue. All right. So I don't care what nobody say. With respect to finding employment now, Chef, if you'll get up and show up, most of the jobs we work with said if they'll show up, if they're dressed properly, we'll teach them. We're not asking them to know the job. All right. This is how desperate people are now. For people to just now they're desperate for bodies. Understand? They just want somebody to be there. So they'll take the time to train them. But how much of this? But let me go to our guest, and then we'll touch on this briefly, and then we'll come back to what he's really here to talk about. Lee, introduce yourself.
My name is Lee Earl Smith. I am serving currently as the interim editor of the Tri-State Defender of Memphis, Tennessee, but also as communications director for the upcoming Renewable Energy Conference this coming week in Hattiesburg.
Okay. And you're somewhat familiar with this conversation because you worked in the law area for quite some time. And you worked for a gentleman that would bring young students in actually for the summer. And now some of those students are actually returning to positions there at the facility. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's correct. At Family Health Center, there's a program, a summer internship youth enrichment program, aimed at just introducing young people to, what the possibilities are in healthcare. A lot of the times, when you ask a young person, what they want to be, they'll spit out a doctor or a nurse, but it's a whole different thing to be able to kind of go into the experience and be immersed in it, to kind of see what people do in these professions in everyday lives, and even learn about professions that you didn't know. My background is in communication, and it might not have ever occurred to me that there's a need for communications at in a community health center setting. And so, just to be exposed to that and see what the possibilities are, it's incredibly important. And I agree wholeheartedly with what your guest just said. Presentation is important. Not just, especially, for instance, we were just talking about in a healthcare setting, you want to feel like if you're there to get information and deal with what may be either serious or not so serious health issues, you want to feel comfortable with the people that you're with. You don't want to have to be wondering, when the last time they washed their hair, why do they smell like that, any of that. And so all of these things absolutely matter, not just for the sake of getting the job, but for doing it professionally in a way that you can actually advance your career.
Okay. All right. And you got a little in and out. It just, it's I don't know about the signal. When my co-host heard you said Memphis, Tennessee, she just went to blushing and smiling over here. I don't know what's up with that.
I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, so I'm just doing a shout out to like a Mithonian on the interviewing.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, we got that out of the way. All right, Lee. So are you? I mean, I checked your phone because we get ready to go yield to you, brother. And I don't want it to be in and out, but if you will, kind of check and see what's going on with your signal. But let's talk about this conference coming up down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Let's start at the beginning. It was the brainchild of a small group of people that believe that the African American community needs to know more about solar. So they've been working on it for quite some time. So I'm gonna yield to you.
Yeah, so I'm on a grant team with Dr. Rashad Ali, who is a noted, obviously, well, doctor is an MD, so he's delivering literally thousands of babies in South Mississippi, in Laurel. But he's also, well, the JD, he's an attorney and, an entrepreneur and businessman. So, he got together a group of us, myself included, to kind of discuss the possibilities and how we could actually not just bring solar opportunity to Mississippi, but kind of expand the idea of what people think about when they think about renewable energy. And so, coming up, starting this Thursday, it's a 2-day conference, the Renewable Energy Conference in Hattiesburg at the Hattiesburg Convention Center, where we're going to focus on 3 main areas, including workforce development, finance, and education. We want to help people find out what kind of jobs are available, because there's more to it than just being a solar panel installer. There's all kinds of levels and career options in renewable energy. Finance, what kind of tax incentives and resources, grants, those types of programs are available for residential and for business people to be able to take advantage of solar and other renewable energy. And then, of course, just education, raising the IQ level of everybody around these issues in the state of Mississippi, so that we won't be the last one to be talking about this stuff while everybody else is taking advantage of the money and the opportunity. We want to be on the front end of this for a change. So that was kind of the driving force behind what we're up to, and we're looking forward to really bringing some light to this issue in the state.
Talk about the employment opportunities again, and the thing about it is, when we are the last one to know, I'm just of the opinion that it might actually be some great jobs in this area. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, so obviously, one of the things that has happened just in the past few years is that solar has continued to gain momentum. Even in Mississippi, some of the regulations that govern how residential people take advantage of, solar incentives have gotten more and more favorable. Still not as favorable as some other states, but, they're heading in the right direction. And so, we're seeing this trend of green energy. It's become a lot more commonplace now to understand what fossil fuels are doing to our environment. And, when we started having these big storms like Beryl this through here earlier than ever, people starting to understand that, hey, we have to get off of coal and oil and gas and get on, something that's less harmful for the environment. And so, when you add all of that up, obviously there are opportunities in the state of Mississippi for in the solar industry, both in sales and installation and maintenance. But there's also financing of these types of entities. There are things that we're going to be talking about at our conference, including a green bank. Like, what's a green bank? Well, we'll explain more about that. It has to do with again, loans and access to funds for these types of projects. And so just that industry by itself has its own set of jobs, and it all may sound a little crazy or a little, too cutting edge, but think about it this way, Mr. Jones. 20 years ago, roughly, was when Facebook was introduced. And for at least, the first 5 years of that, it was kind of the thing you fucking did at work. You checked your Facebook page while you were at work, but it wasn't a job. And now, just 5 years, 6 years after that, you have actual jobs in social media, people who are this industry that propped up and created a whole crop of jobs that never existed. So again, it's very early in the industry, especially in our state. And I think that we're going to have the chance to kind of be on the front end of deciding what some of these jobs are and where they land.
Talk to us, and you mentioned the media company that you work for now. Lee, what do we need to do different? Because what I'm finding, and Roland Martin did a segment, and I'm gonna send it to you because I think you're gonna find it very beneficial. But Roland, he just broke it down. Because what we do, you mentioned the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, whoever. We go there, we get consumed, we become addicted to that, and then whoever's gonna spend the money gonna go where the numbers are. Am I right?
Yeah, it's well, and here's the thing. It's really interesting because what we're seeing, I think, is a bigger problem than just how African Americans communicate with one another in media. This is we're seeing the segmentation of people, of media, of how people get information across the board. You could argue that goes all the way back to 20 years ago when we started on the normal having like 80 different cable channels that we could watch. Of course, you and I are old enough to remember growing up in a time when you had 3 networks. You didn't even have 5. You had NBC, ABC, and CBS. If you were lucky, you also had PBS as well. But that narrow diet, everybody was kind of getting their information from roughly the same, set of people. So there was a common knowledge base that everybody was working on. But then, like we said, cable came along, the internet obviously came along, and then social media. And so I say at this point, it's very baked in. It's generational even at this point that, there's whole generations of people now who will have no clue of what it's like to sit down at 5:30 in the afternoon and watch the news because they get all their news by reading it or seeing it on their phone or on social media. And I don't know how we put that, back in Pandora's box. I'm still trying to figure out how to adapt to it. Oh, and by the way, AI is on the rise now too. Yeah. So even everything I just said is about to change. It's insane how fast it's going these days.
Well, let me ask your colleague from Memphis here. It's changing, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, it is.
Okay, but where are we as a population of people? Where are we as African American community? Facebook, Twitter, social media, now AI, even solar. Now, where are we at? Where is the Black community?
Depending on talking about the baby boomers, or are you speaking on?
No, I'm just talking about when things happen, the move, the shift. When do we catch up, or do we always chase?
We always chasing.
Okay, that's really what I'm interested in. So, Lee, give us the contact information. How can a person call? Give us the website. I'm gonna give back to Ms. Jackson because she's been searching the website. Give us the contact information and the website.
So, yeah, people can learn more about the conference, including registering at renewableenergyconference.com. We do have certain access levels for people who come from the academic sector, from the nonprofit sector, community activists, because we want to make sure that this information is available not just to the high-powered individuals, but that it's able to get across all socioeconomic levels and out to as many people as possible.
We also want people to know, discover the future of energy, July the 18th through 19th in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. You can actually go online again to renewableenergyconference.com and register.
I like the way you said that.
That's why I hired him. Okay, you could hear it.
So we want people to know to ask to come out again. Also, you can transfer your home and your future with renewable energy. Elevate your business with the new green invocation. Again, unlock financial opportunities in the green economy. Advance your career at the forefront at renewable energy. Launch your career. Again, their website is renewableenergyconference.com. That's going to be July the 18th through 19th in Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
All right, people. Lee, now let's talk about something that I'm very interested in because how important is it for our leaders, our leaderships, our clergy, anybody, our elected officials, how important is it? And I'm talking about the African American community now. Keep in mind, we invite all population. We would love to have, the room full of everybody. But how important is this conference for our people that's leading our community to be there to get this information on the front?
It's absolutely critical for so many reasons. One of them would be that there are, in many cases, tremendous financial incentives. There are tax benefits. One of the things that you got to credit, the current presidential administration with is there have been a lot of money and initiatives kind of put in to incentivize people to really embrace, green technologies and such. But the challenge is a lot of the times we don't know about it. And I don't know that you blame anybody for that because, obviously in this political climate, so much stuff kind of gets, the air gets kind of sucked out of the room. You just don't hear about these kinds of programs. But again, that's why it's important to come to an event like ours because we will be talking about these types of things at this conference and not just talking about them, but having the people in the room who can help people access these funds and take advantage of it. Obviously, the energy savings for a church or religious organization can be phenomenal, and there is a cost associated with getting solar, but it might not be as expensive as one would think, especially with the incentives involved. Again, it's just good for humanity. It helps take care of the earth, which I would like to think any ministry wants to do. So, it's a good chance for us to get in on the front end as people instead of again playing catch up after everybody else has gone off and left.
And Mr. Lee, is there a cost to actually go to this conference that's in Hattiesburg?
Yes, it's $250 per attendee per day. And that price level is aimed for more businesses and organizations and governments.
Mm-hmm.
We also do have a academic here at $25 per person per day. That's for more of your university faculty and staff. And then there's also a nonprofit level where people still need to register, but admission is free.
Okay. All right. And for young people that they went to college, they got their degree, they congratulated, and then they come back home and they hadn't been able to find employment in the area that they went to school for. Would you believe that this is a space that they need to be in?
Yes, absolutely. Because again, we're going to have a lot of one of the things we wanted to do, and it's really this is a life lesson anybody can apply, I think. But one of the things is when you want to begin to kind of learn about something, you can go out and do all of the research and try to connect with all of the people individually, or you can try to bring all of the people together and interact with them all at once. That second option is better sometimes because you get different people in the room together at the same time, and something happens that people otherwise might not have happened. Now, if you're a young person and you can be in the room with those kinds of opportunities, I call it popcorn. Where something just starts to kind of pop off. The next thing you know, you might find yourself on a career track in an industry that's just getting underway, being able to make six figures in the solar industry, whether that's as doing solar installation or doing sales, which is extremely lucrative these days, even in Mississippi, where the incentives aren't as great as they are in some other states.
Okay. All right. Again, the contact number, if you will.
The website, renewableenergyconference.com, or you can contact our Director of Registration, Daryl Parker, at 662-202-4345.
Okay. All right. Hang on just a second.
And some of the actual speakers you can actually look for is Ted Tribute, Toby Barker, Miss Young, and Miss Morset.
All right. And
Yeah,
again,
Nina Young from the Coalition for Green Capital. So I want to shout out, say yes, that's an African American. My point is that's an African American woman in a position of calling shots when it comes to financing on these types of green projects. And I've had conversations with her where she has expressed explicitly, like, look, we have this money, we need to give it away. People don't know about it. We want to help get the word out. So, yeah, people like that are coming to our conference. Shalane Morissette with the Department of Energy, also a mover and shaker in that industry. So, again, these are people here who can not only bring in information, but also influence the capacity to help make things happen.
And Mr. John Binky, and also Mr. Dequita Stamps,
Commissioner,
Commissioner.
Public Service Commission. You got stuff.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing what he has to say. It's going to be good. John Brinke also works with the Coalition for Green Capital as well. So yeah, it's going to be really good event. We're proud of it.
Lee, how important is it for us to get these conversations in schools early on? I know one of the things we struggle with here in the state is healthcare issues. And the quicker we get people, informed and involved, the better it's going to be. So what's your assessment on dealing with our youth and around green energy and solar? And we hadn't even got around to talking about these e-vehicles. But talk to us about the importance of introducing this topic to our youth in the African American community.
I would say, well, obviously, this is the world that we're going to be living in. The more this stuff is going to continue to gain momentum and continue to be the trend of things to come. We weren't really talking about artificial intelligence, 6 years ago. And now it's almost all we talk about. It has the potential to kind of change how we do everything. And so, when we're on the opportunity of having an industry shift, a disruptive shift in how things happen in our society. And there are opportunities there, and when there's opportunities, you can either take advantage of them or get left behind. And I think the more we can kind of show young people that where these opportunities are, I think that, we really begin to engage them in a different way, that it becomes real for them. It's one thing to talk about, climate change and all of that stuff and, green energy, but it's another thing, I think, to be able to immerse. So that's what I would say is that we want to have more engagement where people can kind of get immersed in it. You know what I mean? Where it's not like, I heard solar panels are great, or I was driving down the street and I saw some solar panels on somebody's house. But no, I'm in here with the electrician. He's showing me how to connect these wires. I'm looking at the meter on my smartphone, understanding how much energy is going into the house and how these trees here are in the way and maybe we need to shift it over here. I think the more we get young people actually kind of immersed in the experiences of being in this industry, whatever that looks like, I think it becomes more real. And I think the more real it becomes, the more real it becomes.
Hey, listeners, again, Renewable Energy Conference of 2024, Lake Terrace Convention Center, One Convention Center Plaza, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. You can call it 601-261-0820, extension 102.
All right, Lee, give us the time on that event. I know we got a economic roundtable that's here in Jackson on that Wednesday. And then after that, we will be headed down to Hattiesburg. But give us the outline that Thursday morning. What's the start time?
Start time, so we're doing breakfast at 8, and then we have our opening keynote address from the mayor of Hattiesburg, Mayor Barker, at 9. Then we'll have a couple of our key speakers speaking on both finance and workforce development there in the morning. A couple of panel discussions before wrapping up around 4. Some of the pieces are still kind of settling in a little bit, but that's kind of the general setup of the day. We're looking forward to it being a really, really good occasion.
Excuse me. Did you go to Alabama with us to the forum over there? Were you part of that delegation?
I did.
You do know Barrett, he would be here. You know his team, they're coming in.
I did not know that. I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah. So people from all across the country.
They have a really interesting setup.
Yeah. So now you know when you're talking about solar with the property that they have, you know, that people have been trying to get a relationship with them. And, you know, they absolutely excited about this opportunity because they want to learn more about, you know, the future and the opportunities. So, you know, they will be in the house. I think they're coming in that Wednesday afternoon, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, and I just want to make sure one more time, Sherri, about the jobs that come. One thing when you say renewable energy, it's very easy to think that is just solar, or that solar is the only part. Of course, it's not. There's wind power, of course, hydroelectric, which is off of dams and such. Geothermal, biodiesel. Geothermal is getting heat from out of the earth, through the transfer of water or whatever. There's bio energy as well, including biofuels, like some of you may have heard of biodiesel, which is basically the turning the French fry oil into a diesel, a type of diesel fuel. And my point is that we're not going to get into all of that, but all of that kind of encompasses the ecosystem of renewable energy. So even if you're not as interested in quote unquote solar, the industry in the field is so new and so ripe with opportunities that, there are going to be these other ways to kind of work it, There's even ways to take organic waste. This is something I'm really interested in, to take organic waste like, food scraps with grass clippings and have them processed in a way that produces methane gas, which can be burned and turned into energy. And so I think there's a potential future in energy in that sector as well. So all kinds of possibilities we're just excited to be talking about.
Well, man, I'm excited about the information. And anytime we can introduce our community to this kind of information, that's what I'm about. And we got a lot to come, people. Again, if you've been listening tonight, Sherri, we're getting ready to get out of the way. Mr. Goldie is locked and loaded, already in the cockpit. I see him kind of getting out on the runway, and we're going to get out of his way and let him get up in the air with that big 747 to do what he do. Tune in tomorrow morning. If nothing happens, Mr. Lee Smith will be back with us tomorrow morning. If Mr. Larry Armstrong permit us to, we'll try to come back in from 7 to 7:30. So call somebody and tell them folks over there at WMPR in the 90.1, they talking about money. They talking about economic engines. They talking about improving the health in our community. They talking about moving our people forward. And then, Lee, we're going to always be talking about underwriting goals because we need money. That's right, MONEY. And I'm going to continue to talk about it until I see the checks coming in the door. If you want to shut me up, I'm talking about talk to the people where you're spending your money. People tell me all the time, well, Mr. Jones, I don't have. Well, go where you spend your money.
Follow the money.
Follow the money. Tell the people that you buying these Lexus from, these Mercedes from, to come advertise with Black media. And I'm not just advocating for WMPR 90.1. I'm going to tell you more about it tomorrow morning. We got a network of Black stations across the state, and we looking for what belongs to us. Ms. Jackson, your last comments.
Again, Thank you, Mr. Lee, for your time, for coming to us and let us know about the Renewable Energy Conference. Again, people, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, July the 18th and 19th. Be there or not at all.
All right.